Commandlet binding is somewhat of a mystery to many PowerShell users. So in this episode, we're going to find out what it does. Welcome everybody. Now this question comes from my advanced PowerShell class. So let's answer this by jumping in the time machine and heading back to 2006. No, not 1986, 2000, oh geez, whatever. Okay, 2006. Anyway, back then, we actually were working with PowerShell 1, and our editor back then, Notepad. You can probably imagine how difficult it was for me to teach PowerShell on Notepad.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Anyhow, moving a little bit further along, we get to 2009. That's the release of PowerShell version 2. And that is where we got, the PowerShell ISE, at least the first version of it. But then we also got advanced functions. And that is when commandlet binding was introduced. Commandlet binding makes your functions act like fully compiled commandlets. And commandlets are granted special superpowers by PowerShell. So once you added in commandlet binding, then poof, you are also granted these superpowers.
Faster than a speeding bullet.
No.
More powerful than a locomotive.
Seriously?
Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Stop. No, not those kind of superpowers. First of all, PowerShell is going to add in the common parameters. Verbose provides additional details about command execution. Debug provides debugging information. ErrorAction determines how errors are handled. ErrorVariable captures error messages into a variable. OutVariable captures output into a variable. And OutBuffer controls the number of objects that are held before sending them down the PowerShell pipeline. Commandlet binding also added in some attributes that you can use when you add commandlet binding. Like, for example, there's ConfirmImpact. Now, this tells the function that it needs to prompt you yes or no, whatever, if you want to actually execute the code. Now, when you combine that with the should process method, then it can take a look at PowerShell's global variable, which is called ConfirmImpact. And if your code's impact level matches PowerShell's level, it will prompt. If your level's below, then it won't prompt for consent. DefaultParameterNameSet. So we can have what are called parameter sets. That is, the author of the commandlet creates some parameters that they don't want you to use together. Maybe they'll do something bad. So they separate them into different parameter sets. Well, when you're using their code, if PowerShell doesn't know which parameter set to kind of default to, this will let it know. Stop. HelpURI. The HelpURI is used if you have an online version of the help file for this script or this commandlet. So when the user asks for online help, it knows where to direct you to. And the power you possess. You've got to be kidding. All right, anyhow, SupportsPaging. So this adds the skip and the include total count parameters in. We use these to control the output of data from very large data sources like, a SQL database. Ah, come on. Positional binding. So when you create your parameters, by default, the first parameter that you create is in position 0. The second one's position 1, and so on and so forth. When you set positional binding to false, then all those parameters become named parameters, and you can specify which ones, if any, that you want to mark as positional. So that is just a quick description of what commandlet binding does. So remember, I do not wear satin tights. Anyhow, just forget about it. Hit subscribe. See y'all later. I'm done.